Okay, so it's a little bit past 7, so we're going to get started because we want to be respectful of everyone's time and the fact that we also have childcare for a limited amount of time, which is from 7 to 8:30. So thank you all for coming this evening. My name is Carolyn Kane, and I'm the chair of Boston SpedPac. Boston SpedPac is an organization that's created by law that the school committee has to establish for parents of children with disabilities in the district. And it's for SpedPac to participate in the planning, the development, and the evaluation of the district's special education programs. Every parent or guardian in the Boston Public Schools who has a child with disabilities on an IEP, an individualized education plan, is automatically a member of SpedPac. SpedPac is a volunteer organization, so all of the officers and the members of SpedPac are volunteers. None of us work for BPS. It's not a paid position. And what we do is we try to bring information to parents to help empower you to be better advocates for your children regarding special education services in the district. So that's who we are. This is our first general meeting for this school year. So welcome to people that are new to SpedPac. Welcome to your first meeting. To people that have been here before, welcome back. I've actually been the chair, I think this is my 6th year. It's a volunteer position, and I can't say that I'm going to commit to that for life, but I have a child in BPS who's now 16 years old, so I have 6 more years to go. She has significant disabilities. I'm actually also an attorney who's learned special education law because I have a child with disabilities, so I hope to use my skills and my knowledge to help all of you the same way that I needed help when I started out on the journey of special education. So tonight's agenda is really the onset of, the general meetings for this year. We're going to have a little bit of an introduction from BPS. One of the things that SpedPac does is it partners with BPS to try to improve special education throughout the district in terms of developing programs, increasing inclusion opportunities, focusing on ABA services. In transition has been focuses in the past, but really we don't have a preconceived agenda about what the year should be about. We want to hear from parents about what your needs are and what it is that we need to focus on with the district as our partners. I think it's helpful to say that we've learned that by working through the district, we've been able to get positive change and more focus on the area of special education in the last several years, and our goal is to continue that in the years to come, whether it's myself or someone else that replaces me in the next year or two. But the goal is to work on all of our behalf to make sure that all children in BPS receive the supports and services that they need to meet their individual needs so that they can reach their own individual potential in life, whatever that may be. Now, obviously, we have some very high-achieving learners that have special education needs, and we have some significantly impacted individuals who have special needs. I myself am one of those parents that has a child that's significantly impacted with special needs, and that she's nonverbal, she has global delays in all areas of her development, but I know and I have seen that with the right supports and services that she's been able to make her own progress for who she is. And I think that's what we all want as parents, is to give our child the opportunity to learn, and what they can achieve becomes up, it's up to them and who they are. So that's what we're all about. We're here as fellow parents to support one another. We're here as volunteers. What we try to do is facilitate between you and BPS a resolution for whatever issues it is that you're dealing with. Whether it's you're not getting the right services for your child, or you're not getting what's written in their IEP, or you don't feel that your child's in an appropriate placement. How do we resolve those issues so that they don't become long-term disputes between families, and that we really work together as partners to try to meet the needs of all of our children? I think that all of you have probably heard that we've had a change of administration recently, and so now we have Dr. Tommy Chang as our new superintendent. He replaced the interim superintendent, John McTutter, who had been with BPS for over 40 years. And now we have a new administration, and he brought along with him a lot of new administrators, and he's really about innovation and changing things. I'm happy to tell you that he has a very strong opinion about children with special needs achieving high academic and life outcomes, and that's very promising. And we obviously want to work with his team to help them understand who our children are, what their needs are and what needs to happen in BPS to ensure that their individual needs are being met. So tonight's agenda is actually, it's a meet and greet in terms of who we are, what we're trying to do for you, give you a little bit of information on how to start the year off right, to let you know as an organization, and it's a volunteer organization, what we've been able to establish. And I have to give all the credit to John St. Amand, who's actually the vice chair of SpedPac and has been for years, that he's established our own independent email system, our own independent phone number, and our own independent website that he's going to walk you through later on in the presentation to teach you how to use it, so that if you come to the meetings and you forget something or you have a question, you have resources that are available to you, or if you're not able to come to our general meetings that are once a month, that you can go online and watch the meeting live at whatever time of day or night that works for you. We all have children with special needs, and that brings life challenges with it. We do have childcare, but that doesn't necessarily always work. We all have work schedules. We all have other challenges that can sometimes impact our ability to get here, but we want you to have access to all of the information that we're trying to make available to you to help you in this journey of special education, which admittedly none of us chose to be on, right? Okay? So we have resources available to you. We want them to be available to you, and thanks to John's expertise in technology, those are now available to you on a 24-hour basis through our website. So he's going to walk you through that a little later to show you how to use the tool. I myself, I'm 51 years old. I didn't grow up with technology. It's been a learning curve for me. So I'm figuring if I have questions, other people have questions, let's do a little bit of a tutorial to help you get there, so that if you're looking for information, you're not frustrated in trying to find it on our website, okay? I'm going to go through a little bit of how do you start the year off right? What do you want to do as sort of the first steps in the school year to make sure that you know the questions or the issues that you will want to address for this year, and how do you set on the course to making sure that all of your objectives are achieved. But we're also incredibly fortunate this year, as we have been in the last several years, to have a partnership with BPS where they actually bring their staff here to the SpedPac meetings to talk with parents if they have any ongoing issues currently that they need to address, whether it's issues with your IEPs, issues with your child's school, or even issues with transportation, that we want to resolve those issues as quickly as possible. And the way to do that is to be able to connect you directly to BPS staff. I'm actually going to let them go first in the presentation because, like all of us, they've had a very long work day, and if people have issues, they're available to talk to and try to work through those, or at least get the preliminary information so that they can follow up with you on those issues tomorrow or the next day. And so I'm going to introduce them, and they're going to make themselves available to you. But obviously, if we don't need them available to us tonight, we don't want them to stay for the whole presentation, because a lot of what we're going to talk about, they've already heard. Okay, so, yep.
There's three, by the way, my name is John St. Amand. I'm the Vice Chair of Boston SpedPac. Welcome all. How many people are new to this? Their first meeting?
That's great.
That's excellent. And how did you hear from it? Did you get it from the flyer?
We get a letter from the school.
The school?
Yeah.
Phone call? And are any of you on our email list yet?
I think I get it from all of them.
Well, we try to get you any way you can. We'll start putting on your sidewalk if you have to. So, well, welcome everybody. We can talk more about it a little bit later. There's three handouts tonight. There's the tech update, which I'll go over. There's the starting your year off right, both English and Spanish. And then we also have the new, I guess the contact sheet for the special education office. So we'll start to go into those details. Is there anybody here that needs translation? We're supposed to be having Spanish. I haven't seen it yet. Anybody need?
Okay.
And does anybody need Spanish translation? We had some requests for it. They may show up a little bit. Okay. Very good. Yes. Oh, by the way, these will all be on the website. So anything you missed tonight for handouts, they will all be there as well, including the SpEd contact sheet, which is actually quite critical. And then, well, there's plenty to go over. I'll let my turn.
So I think that with regard to BPS and sort of navigating the system, one of the things that I learned over 13 years ago when we entered BPS was who do you contact if you have an issue, and who's the right person to go to. And I think that's critical, because nobody wants to have an issue and then be frustrated by the process of not being able to contact the person that's going to be able to resolve that. So the contact information that we're providing you with tonight is to enable you to contact the right people depending on the issue that you have, so that you can start the communication with the person that should be able to help you with that situation. Whether or not you ultimately come to an agreement or not, that depends on what the situation is. But the fact is that you need to be talking to the right person. And I think that BPS giving us that direct information is incredibly helpful, and if you happen to misplace your handout tonight, it will be on our website for future reference, because I know myself, I misplaced a lot of paperwork, so I can never really, I try to save everything in my favorites because I can never remember anything or keep it in the right place. So anyway, we're gonna start off with BPS. It's my pleasure to introduce to you a member of Dr. Tommy Chang's administration, who came with him from California and has an incredible amount of experience in both special education and with English language learners. And she will introduce you to the rest of her team, but I'm going to introduce Deputy Superintendent of Student Support Services, Karla Estrada.
Standing spot. It's a little hard for me, but I will try. Well, thank you all for having me, and I really appreciate SpedPac making arrangements to ensure that we have forums for families to be able to come and speak. There's lots of work that we can do in BPS to improve how we communicate and interact with families, but it's important to have a variety of ways for parents to be able to access the communication and be able to access the supports and services in Boston Public Schools. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself, because not only should you know that I came from California, but I think it's important for you to hear a little bit of my story. So I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, but I have over 18 years working in education, in particular with families and with the students and our schools around meeting the needs of diverse learners, in particular students with disabilities, and also English language learners. Now, my learning, though, in the work has primarily been around the voices of our students and the voices of our families. So what my journey has really been in those 18 years has been learning to listen carefully and be able to pay attention to ways that we can continue to improve. Special education in particular is a journey. It's one that you all have many different stories to tell about the experience. How many of you have that story to tell around the experience? And I say that to you as someone who has sat with families, worked with children. I was a teacher for many years, but before that I started as a paraeducator. And then I moved on to be a behavior specialist. So on top of English language learners, students with disabilities, I've also been very focused around behavior and discipline and factors that create disproportionality around certain kids, and how certain kids get treated certain ways and others don't, and how do we begin to address that. So as I mentioned, that voice is important to me. And as I've been working with the Boston Public School team, I've been really listening to the different stories, not only that our families tell, but our staff tell too. And some couple things that we've been able to identify, especially as we also engaged in the Listen and Learn tours. Anybody here that participated in those Listen and Learn tour events with Dr. Chang? Okay, great. We listened to some stories around ways that we can begin to improve our work. We looked for those bright spots in the system, because I think there's a lot of great things that have gone on in BPS in order to improve our outcomes for our students. But I think we still have some work to do. And I've met wonderful staff people in BPS eager to be able to continue to improve, and families who have shared ways in which we can begin to improve. And so I ask, as we are learning and listening more, but putting things into action, I encourage you to take opportunities to share your experiences with us. As I've met some folks, I've asked, for example, if I can observe certain things going on, not as a participant, but as a learner. Sometimes you have to be someone, not because of your position, but just someone who wants to participate in the experience. I think it's a very helpful thing. And I think it's something that, as we keep going, I ask you to know that we are trying to improve our practices, but we also want to continue to push forward the things that have been going well. So I'm going to share with you a couple initiatives that we're focusing in particular around special education. One thing you'll learn about me as well is that I don't want to just do things for the sense of doing it. I want to make sure that it's creating the impact that we want it to. Our children and our families don't deserve anything less. And so we have to hold ourselves accountable to that. So some of the strategy work that we've been doing in consultation also with SpedPac and other community members and families has brought us to about 5 key initiatives, some key strategies. In particular, the first one is our parent engagement work. So typically we have different opportunities like SpedPac that have created forums for families to come and share and speak. And we realize that we need to support that further. This is one way we can do it. There's many other ways that we can. And so we're working very closely with community members to listen to different ways we can access more families. We have over, 15,000 students with disabilities, 11,000 students with disabilities. Do we have 11,000 families in here? No, there's a lot more voices that we know we need to interact and connect with. And I would love it to be at the table with educators, with community members, and so we're trying to figure out what are different ways for parent engagement, and we're open to listening to ways that we can better engage with our families, especially out in the community. So we're definitely focused on that. Another key initiative we're focused on is our instruction and the quality of that instruction. I know we say we want all of our kids to learn, but what are we really willing to examine to do things differently if some of our kids need a different way to learn? And so we're re-examining the quality of our programs. We're looking in particular at our greatest students with needs. I've done a lot of work, especially with our students with moderate to severe disabilities. How do we begin to look at some of those functional communication skills they're going to need, those life skills that we need? And for our students with moderate to severe disabilities, how do we begin to look at the academic quality and how we ensure that our kids get access? Which leads me also to the behavior aspect. I think one thing that I've been so proud of the work that's in BPS is the level of behavioral expertise in the district, which is something coming from Los Angeles. I've been with LA Unified for many years. Coming here, it was something very exciting to see the work that BPS has already done to ensure they have quality and qualified people really working with our students around the area of behavior. And so really trying to see how do we leverage that more across all of our schools, not just for students who are receiving particular services, because I don't know about you, but behavior is something that exists in every which way. We all have our own behaviors, and so we know that our kids are going to have them too. So how do we do that work? Which does also lend itself to the work that we're doing in the district around social-emotional learning and wellness. How many have heard of that? We have an office just focused on social-emotional learning and wellness. If you have it, that's great for us to know that we have more information to go out to families, sharing with you the work that we're going to be doing around social-emotional learning skills, because we all know those are critical to academic learning as well. And so that focus leads me also to the work that we're doing around transition. So our transition services is something that we know we've done some great work in. How do we expand those opportunities more for our kids, not only for career, but for college as well? How do we ensure that we transition those experiences? So we're working with partners. One thing about Boston is you've got lots of resources. I promise you I did not have as many people knocking on my door in Los Angeles as I've had here in Boston. And people want to be helpful. But we have to make sure we're clear on our vision closely to make sure that we leverage the expertise of within the special education department to also build capacity across the system. We're moving towards inclusion, for example. That's one of our other initiatives. And so how do we ensure that we have staff ready to support the needs of all kids as they walk into the classroom and ensure that they also have high expectations for our kids, every single one of them. And so it's with pleasure that I introduce Cindie Neilson, who is our interim assistant superintendent, and I'll be around also in case of any questions.
Good evening. It's very nice to be here again. I've been with Boston, well, it's going to be 4 years in December.
Cindy,
Able to be part.
Oh, is that what I say?
I didn't want to trip on this. This is not a good thing. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here. It'll be my 4th year in December that I've been part of the administrative team in Boston for special ed. Very excited in the new role that I'm in right now. And what Dr. Chang and his team, Dr. Estrada brought was a really great culture of we is a big core value that's happening in the district now. So with that, the we of the team's going to come up here. Some people came tonight to introduce themselves to you and let them know what their roles are so that the sheet becomes people, so they can introduce who they are and what they're doing. Want to start?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Sweeney. I work, one of the assistant directors. One of the assistant directors in the special ed office, and I primarily work with the students that are in out-of-district and private districts.
Hey everybody, I'm Seth Bartholomew, and I'm the assistant director for ABA services, and I've been working in the district for about 4 years as well.
Good evening, my name is Thelma Pierce. and I'm the Assistant Director for Related Services, that's speech, occupational therapy, bilingual speech, adaptive phys ed. I forgot what I said. Vision, PT, OT, the whole 9 yards. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, I'm the person that you would talk to.
Good evening, I'm Rachel Zukowski. I work to support schools in the northern part of the district, K-8 schools in Brighton, Alston, East Boston, and Charlestown.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Loesch. I support one half of the high schools for special education.
Hi, Miriam Loy. I work with the early intervention team, so those entering 2.11, soon to be 3-year-olds entering the Boston Public Schools.
So these are the people that could come tonight, which is, thank you very much. We also have, as you see on our list of people, there are more people that are working with individual schools in different neighborhoods. And as Carolyn said, we come every month, so there's usually about 3 of us that'll be here so we can talk with you about specific concerns that you have. Don't wait till the monthly meeting. Obviously call or email anytime, but we are here in person at the monthly meetings. And we'll be here tonight, so if you have any concerns, please feel free to see us. You should go back into that room so it's a little quieter. All right, thank you.
Cindie touched on something that's important. Don't sit on something, wait till our next meeting. One of the nice things about the way we try to organize the SpedPac here is that we have resources from the special education department that you can talk to directly about your issue. But if something comes up and you need to get the ball rolling on it, we have the issue forms on our website that you can fill out and we directly send to Cindie and her team, and you will get a response directly from them. We found it's probably the most productive thing that we have. We started out with on paper at the meetings, but became so popular and so productive that we decided to make it electronic as well. And it's very quick. I mean, normally within 24 hours you're talking to somebody with a significant understanding of your case, the issues, and the complexities that you're dealing with. Okay? So don't forget the issues. And that's the boss is up next.
Yes. So I don't want to, I don't think I can overstate our appreciation for BPS actually coming to the SpedPac meetings, because these really are parent meetings, and they're making themselves available to us on a monthly basis. I mean, some people have difficulty, whether it's language issues or just being new to the system or running into someone that's not particularly helpful in the district, to come here and be able to get your issue addressed, and to get it addressed in a timely fashion so that you're not going halfway through the school year before you're able to get an issue resolved. I mean, I think we all know that our children have a limited amount of years in the BPS system, and we want to use those years to maximize their education and their opportunities within BPS, because once they leave BPS, whether they graduate or if they don't graduate and they stay here till 22, once you enter the adult world as someone with disabilities, it's no longer a right, it's a benefit. And you get in line with all the other individuals with disabilities who are adults, and that's very dependent on state funding, which is done on an annual basis by, approval of the legislature. So special education is a right that your child's entitled to the supports and services to meet their individual needs for them to reach their own individual potential. So we really want to focus on those years and maximize what it is that your child can get out of that. Your child's not entitled to the best education possible, but they are entitled to an appropriate education. And that means an education and services that are tailored to meet their individual needs. Two children can have the same disability and be completely different. So it's not the disability that defines the child, it's the impacts of that disability on the child and that child's functioning that defines what that child's needs are. And so how do we get there? We get there through evaluations, and that's sort of the IEP process at its beginning.